I don't know why he's like at a royal advisor ASAP. Sir, Master Wayne. You know, it's very much
Master Wayne. Remember when you blasted that guy to smithereens?
yeah, exactly.
That was in the hip to the base. That's the prestige.
yeah, the prestige.
Hello, and welcome to StoryFellas, the podcast where we make stories and we break stories. I'm your host, Tommy Antonucci.
And I'm your host, Zach Lovelace.
And here we are. We're doing it again. Zach, how are you doing this fine evening?
I am good. I got a Miller Lite in my hand. I got a good buddy on the mic with me. You know, what more could a man ask for?
Is he on hold while you're talking?
Yeah, actually, good buddy, come on in.
Tommy, could you hang up real quick?
yeah. You're clogging up Riverside. Get out of here, Tommy. No, it's you, man. I'm just appreciating that we get to do this once a week and tell a story. And we were just talking before we got on that it's we tell so many that it's actually hard to keep up with like characters and stuff like that. So it's cool that you can do that. It's also kind of sad that you can crank out that many and you're like, oh, well, I don't even remember what that's about.
I think that's the nature of podcasts. When I hear a lot of podcasters talk about that, where people quote things to them and they say, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
And two, I think it's, I don't remember what two was. I had another point, but I forgot it. I think
case in point.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stuff we're trying to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And
you and I have busy lives too. It's like, Kate had to remind me, my wife had to remind me tonight I was doing StoryFellas. Not that I didn't have reminders and everything set up, but I like fell asleep on the couch when I got home. And she's like, well, you can't be too tired. You got to go tell a story with Tommy. And I was like, shut up. And then I rolled back over and I went to sleep again.
Nice.
No. I don't talk to my wife that way.
I'm glad she knows what day of the week we do StoryFellas.
Yeah. That's why I named my daughter Tuesday.
Just to remember.
Yeah.
I need to always remember. There's something special about Tuesdays.
Yeah, exactly. I have to immortalize it. But I'm excited. I actually have a scrap for us tonight, man.
Woohoo! I'm ready for it.
Well, you don't sound ready.
Hold on. Yeah, that sounded very tired. It's been a long day. Woo! I'm ready for it.
Okay, good. I like to see the white on the top and the bottom of your eyes.
This is where you guys need to watch the YouTube stuff.
Anyway.
Just an hour of that.
Just staring at each other. No, staring at the audience. So I'll give you the log line. It actually has a log line, and it's kind of continuing a theme that we talked about, that we have a little bit of spooky elements in our stories lately. Not necessarily that they're all horror, but they just all have really supernatural things. Yes. I'm like, let's just round it out. Let's just do another one. This reminded me of a conversation we were having.
It's our bread and butter.
Yep, exactly. Welcome to the Spooky Fellas podcast. So this is the log line. In ancient Palestine, a Jewish shepherd learns to hunt demons with a magical ring with the help of a leprous priest.
Whoa, there's like a lot going on there. Yeah. Say it one more time for me.
All right. I'll go slower. In ancient Palestine, a Jewish shepherd learns to hunt demons with a magical ring with the help of a leprous priest. So I wrote this before I realized that I used with twice within like 4 words. So with the help of with. There's some ancient lore that King Solomon had a ring that he could capture demons with. And so there's a little.
Is that in the Bible, or is that more outside the Bible?
This is outside the Bible.
Oh, gotcha.
Just a little, ancient, like I said, lore kind of thing. And it's cool. So I went with that, and I had this idea of it being. I often think about the special effects of something, and that's what really gets me jazzed. A lot like Bug York City. That it's like, oh, puppets. That the way that they do in the original Ghostbusters film, the ghosts. That they're puppets, but then they're layered into the film. Looks so cool. And I want that. And I just imagine a giant demon pig like that,
Mm.
like pig monster that they have to fight. And yeah, that's just the extent of the idea. But I had a little bit more plot, so I don't know if you want to hear more, or if you want to kind of just dive in.
I just want to share my thoughts, but I just want to the first things that come to mind because this is the first I'm hearing of it. And then I'm totally down. I want to hear more plot because I want to
Cool.
see where we go with it. Uh, I don't know how you envision it, but him having a ring, I just imagine him punching the ghosts in the face and it like absorbs them when he punches them.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
I feel like it's probably more, yeah, it's just like he just punches it and then it like vacuums them into the ring. That's probably more if Dwayne the Rock Johnson starred as our shepherd.
Probably. Yeah, a little bit more muscle behind it.
And then Kevin Hart is the leprous priest.
Yeah. Hey, man, why do I gotta have leprosy? I was a lot bigger.
No.
I was a lot bigger before the leprosy.
But I want to hear. That was just an immediate thought, but I like it. It's kind of it immediately gives me kind of Samurai Jack vibes.
I'm down. Yeah.
A hero gets this magical weapon to help avenge someone. But I want to hear more of your plot.
Okay, yeah. So just to give you an idea, Dan is the name of the main character. There's the tribe of Dan and
Dan the Man.
Dan the Man. And I just imagine him being a young guy, 20s, not The Rock, let's say. And he is a shepherd too. So he's gotta be kind of tough. He's out there, but maybe he's a weak shepherd, who knows? And then Asaph was the name of the leper. So this is I think he was a priest that got leprosy. And so now he lives with the leper colony. And this is, Romans have taken over Jerusalem, Palestine, and back in the day. And so it's that kind of, biblical type setting, biblical adjacent, if you will. And so Dan and Asaph, I think, maybe knew each other before Asaph got leprosy. So he's living in the colony. But then the main bad guy's name is Osmodeus. And he's the king of demons. His oh goodness gracious, this Miller Lite is killing me, which doesn't even make sense. His primary mode of attack is lust. So he kind of takes over through using the town prostitutes. And that's the plot, where the plot kicks in, where eventually you find out like they're all under his control because they're sleeping with the one prostitute, this priestess. And at the end, like, you realize that all of the men in the town have been taken over. Even some of the upright men that you thought maybe wouldn't partake in that type of thing. And so Dan has to, fight Osmodeus and his henchmen.
So is Osmodeus a guy or is he a demon?
He's a demon.
Is he? Okay. So he's supernatural and he has like this demon-esque woman that is she human, just deep under her thrall or under his thrall, or is she she's like just, also like a half?
I think she's just a priestess, she's like serves him, she's made it her point to serve him. So maybe he's stuck somewhere. Cause the whole thing is King Solomon used to be able to put his seal of his ring on things like a jar, and that he would like force the demon to get into the jar, and then he put his seal on it and they couldn't get out. And so maybe she finds...
Again, that's not biblical. That's just like...
No, I would give you chapter and verse. I'd give you chapter and verse if that was biblical. I mean, it might be true. I don't know.
It's legend. It's lore.
I just want to make that clear that we're necessary to put into scripture. So it's just cool. That's all. All right.
Yeah, it is cool.
That's why I feel it's okay to like bend it and play with it.
Do you want this to be, this was Solomon's ring that somehow gets to Dan? Is Solomon still in play, or is it like he's gone
long dead,
and it's just, I imagine Asaph gives him this ring. Like, I don't know, Asaph strikes me as the guru guy.
Or tells him where it's at, Yeah, he's the wizard, right? He's the Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Luke is Dan. And yeah, like he gets, I imagine his family gets slaughtered by demons or something, or demon possessed marauders of some kind. That's kind of cool.
It's his sheep get slaughtered.
Yeah, maybe. That's his livelihood. And now he's like, dude, I'm sheep without a shepherd, or I am a shepherd without sheep.
I'm a sheep. I'm a sheep with no shepherd.
Yeah, I'm all tongue tied tonight. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I think that's a pretty cool opening, or like first act break where Dan's whole, maybe it's just Dan and his dad, and maybe Asaph is his uncle. He's a priest who got leprosy, so he doesn't see his uncle, but he knew him. And he's like, obviously, I'm not going to hang out with a leper, but if he needs to, that's the key part. Which I have little character notes. Let's see. Asaph is an expert on the ring.
I can just lean back today on this episode, guys.
I know.
When you're done, Zach, I'm gonna take a quick nap.
So yeah, Asaph is the expert on the ring, like you said, and he's Dan's mentor. He wants to see his family again, but he's unclean, so he's obviously sick, and people have outcasted him. He does not have hope of healing, but dies with hope restored. So I imagine he dies at one point, but like he's hopeful that.
Dan kind of becomes his family in a sense.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things that I thought of was that bandits are after the ring. So they soon find out, like, Asmodeus is like, well, I'm going to employ bandits to go get him. And like, they're going to be greedy. It's a little like Lord of the Rings in that where they're after the magical ring. But that they eventually cut off his hand because they can't get the ring magically is like stuck to his hand and it serves its owner until death. And so, well, or maybe not until death, because then they would just kill him.
It's cut off from the body.
Yeah. But I just liked that. It's a classic hero thing too, like with Luke, to lose your hand, to be mortally wounded but not totally set back, and that you have to triumph over the loss of something great, obviously. But that would be the dark night of the soul, as he gets the ring taken from him, and then Asaph is like, "You never needed the ring." You had the power within you. It's like Thor, like he had the lightning power the whole time. He didn't need the hammer.
No, I get that.
The blood of Solomon runs through your veins.
I like it. It's a cool world.
It feels like cool, like demon hunting sequences. Like the most of the movie is just them fighting different demons.
I feel like this could definitely be built with layers, movies that have very distinct layers to it, that it's like, oh, this happens, this Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire has layers because there's 3 tasks. Ready Player One has 3 challenges. I personally like movies like that because it really moves the movie. It's like has a very narrative there's a narrative thing moving you forward because there are different distinct checkpoints along the way.
Yeah.
And I totally could see there being like a couple level of ghosts. I think it could also have a Hercules-esque thing where he gets a little cocky or something. Like he's taking on all these little demons. And then there's and then that's where we bring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he plays like the first boss, out of the 3 bosses. He's like you, and the guy's like, he punches him in the chest, and the ring's and just can't suck him in.
It's a little Green Lantern too. Now I think about it. They have the power ring, which is cool. Like it's just a superhero movie set in a different time. I got really into sword and sandal movies, which is what this is. Like a Ben Hur type movie, because those were the most popular genre in the 50s. And the thing that replaced them was spaghetti westerns, or westerns in general. And so it's just cool, like thinking about how some genres come and go, and there were so many different Bible movies that got made and stuff, and being able to go back and just kind of put your own stink on that genre.
I feel like that's true. I don't think this genre has been around. I think Indiana Jones could be classified as that in some parts, I think. And then there you had Prince of Persia and John Carter, which neither of those were...
Floppy flop, dude.
Yeah, super great. That is interesting that the movie, those certain genres just come and go. And then people are ready for the next thing.
And exactly. You don't really get to predict what the next thing is. That's what's interesting about post superhero movies. What are we going to get into? Maybe are we already there? Is it kind of that elevated horror thing? Or is it even, are we even playing in that same playing field anymore? Right? Movies aren't even a thing. With Furiosa bombing, I don't know if it bombed, but It
I
made
don't
like
even know.
$33 million this Memorial Day, and that's like the biggest box office weekend of the year.
Mm,
And like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Top Gun made like 160 million.
mm,
So
yeah.
it's like, what are we doing? Like, what is going on here? Um,
Yeah, the landscape's changing. Entertainment is
yes,
changing.
yes,
Movies are changing, and what would be funny is if it came back around to lower budget, like fun little
yeah.
comedies that like what we like Dig
Oh yeah,
Deep,
oh
like
yeah.
what we had in the '90s, and I think even by 2000s, mid 2000s, I think those were starting to slowly die off.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
Well, they got the kind of
but
the raunch com thing going. Um, just like the road trip and Van Wilder and all of that, where they're
hmm,
just super raunchy. They're almost unwatchable nowadays. Kate and I put one on the other day. I'm trying to remember which one it was, and it was just like, dude, like every other joke is something super blue.
yeah,
Um,
and is those movies you can always tell from just like the cover art of the
yeah,
movie
yeah,
because it's always just like I don't know, some girl posing or
yeah.
something, and then
The
like
girl
the
next
main
door.
character's like yeah, looking around at her.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they all
Harold
have
and
that
Kumar.
exact.
Yeah, and those all have like funny moments in them. Wedding Crashers, all that kind of stuff. Dodgeball. I think Dodgeball's probably peak. Um,
Dodgeball's like not even like
it's in that
I
same
wouldn't classify
family.
that. It's in the same family, but it's not like that. Like it's like more just stupid than it is
Yes.
like full raunchy. Because I know what you mean when you're talking about the full raunchy, but like it has parts, but it's really just super dumb
Yes.
when you think about the plot of like this guy has to do this
Oh, I love it. It's
dodgeball tournament.
cartoony. It's cartoony
Yeah.
to all get out, and I'm a big Ben Stiller fan, movie
Hmm.
wise, and like comedy wise. That's just what I grew up watching. Heavyweights, Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder was like, honestly, I feel like probably the last best comedy. I could be mistaken, but the other movies like later down the road, they're not like pure comedies. Like Birdman is really funny, but Birdman is not really a comedy.
Well, yeah, it's like we're in this era too where movies that I used to laugh really hard at. Like I don't really laugh as hard anymore, and it's like I don't know. It's like the humor has shifted a little bit in how you
Hmm.
do it in movies. Like you don't really like it still exists. Like any Will Ferrell movie or Kevin Hart movie, like those movies still are there
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's just like you know the shtick, you know the everything. It's just like
Same kind of
funny.
character. Yeah, totally. And maybe
But
that's what it is. It's just maybe it played itself out, and there's no like good talent. Anybody actually making, or a lot of the arguments are that superhero movies have gobbled up all these other genres. So like, what would actually be funny? Like a superhero movie is an action comedy, and so
yeah.
all the funny movies are there's no budget for a $30 million comedy, like you're saying with Dig Deep or something that would be
Hmm.
just more pedestrian in nature. Nobody wants to go
Hmm.
see them either. I'm not going to the
Yeah.
theater to go see that. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing, but with Dan and Asaph and all these guys, do we want to try and give them just give the audience just a few things here and there, like few battles or whatever, for them to kind of
Yeah.
think through?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like, so starting at the beginning, Dan's a shepherd. Maybe he's a okay shepherd or whatever. Um, I do think his family getting killed by some sort of demon something
Hmm.
is the higher stakes. I know I joked about the sheep. Maybe the sheep also a little bit,
Or
but
maybe
I
he has
think
one sheep
is
that stays with him, which I think is funny.
oh yeah, and like a
Maybe it's the
little
sheep that
neat.
got. That's what it is. One sheep gets away, kind of classic shepherd thing, and he goes. He's
Yeah.
like, "I'll go find it," and he gets back, and everyone's dead. All the other sheep are dead, like everybody. And he's
Yeah.
just like, oh, and then his like house is on
Yeah.
fire. Um,
Yeah. I think and the weird thing about that is um in retrospect that sheep kind of saved his life.
yes,
That one sheep.
yeah,
Which is kind of a cool little note.
yeah. And so, kind of Dan Harmon this with me with the story circle, where what is the character of? I mean, no pun intended. Dan, our main character. What are we taking him from kind of coward to hero? Are we just kind of Luke Skywalkering him, where he's not really. I guess he's kind of getting over his own lack of self esteem and being the hero. Can I do it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so there's a couple ways we could go about it. I'm pulling up my story circle thing real quick because
I
it's
think
always helpful.
his parents and stuff, and maybe his siblings. Maybe he has a huge family, and it like opens up with a monologue. He's like, "And I love my family, and my family they give me a hard time, and they're like, you're the worst shepherd we have. You know, you weren't cut out to be a shepherd. Blah 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 blah." And then he eventually finds the ring, and he comes to find out it's like, "Yeah, you weren't meant to be a shepherd. Like they weren't wrong."
Hmm.
So it's a way to kind of set up like a setup and a payoff. Like the setup is an
Okay.
insult.
I I think I mentioned this earlier, and I think we just ride with it. We really kind of mirror the beginning of Hercules,
Okay,
Disney's Hercules, where
yeah,
he's trying and he just does not. It does not work. Like he's
yeah,
kind of just a screw up, and everyone's like, man. And then it's because he was destined for greater things,
yeah.
and maybe you have some sort of scene like he goes and he chases after the one sheep because he thinks that's what he's supposed to do, and he comes back and his family's been ransacked, and then maybe his dad is just like on his dying breath and able to say something to him,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe Asaph is the only family like he's like, oh, I know I have an uncle that lives in this city, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to him. um
Yeah, the only family he has left is a leper.
yeah.
Mm.
So I think that's a good tragic beginning because it's like you need to go find I don't know, he needs to go find his purpose. That's what is driving him. Like he doesn't feel like he fits in the
Yeah.
world. That's
So
his view. We establish the protagonist. He's kind of a screw up, but he means well.
yeah.
His need is that he needs to go discover, like he needs to find a family and needs to find what he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And but around there, the crossing the threshold. I'm quoting this all from the circle. Is
Mm-hmm.
him at some point? Asaph gives him the ring. Like that's the crossing the threshold. I think where it's like this is the beginning of your journey if you
Mm.
choose to accept it. That's kind of the
I like
exciting
that. I
incentive.
think I don't know if I want him to receive the ring like just directly. I guess that's kind of the Obi-Wan giving him the lightsaber. It's like that was your father's lightsaber. Um, you
He
know.
could the ring could choose him, so
That's
to
what I
speak. Like
yeah,
Asaph has it, and then like the ring's like whoa 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 whoa,
yeah.
whoa, just like comes and
Yeah.
puts it on
I
his
like the
finger.
idea that he can't control it at first. He gets it on and like it's just shooting a beam of light and he's just like, you know, it's like a flashlight
he
essentially.
he immediately kills Asaph.
Yeah, yeah. Just cuts him in half. Yeah, I think that could we tie the ring in the beginning maybe, or maybe him being like he falls asleep and he wakes up and it's the one sheep like sleeping next to him. Um, like this, so it's not like it went lost or whatever, but it's a failure on his part to be responsible that got his family killed, even though he probably would have been killed too. But
Hmm.
that maybe when he's out with that sheep, he finds a well, and like in the well, he hears the ring, or like sees it like light coming out of the well, and he's like, "Whoa, what's
Hmm.
that?"
Hmm.
And he like falls in there and gets it and is able to get it out. Um, and that's a
So he
whole
just finds it on his own, and then maybe Asaph like clarifies what he thinks it is because he
yeah.
is more historically with it.
Yeah. I think maybe he tries to go to the actual priests at some point and tell them what he found, but it's like
Hmm.
really clear that they're corrupt.
Mm.
And so like while he's trying to do it, you know, he's like, "Oh, I guess I won't." And then Asaph maybe spots him from far away. We're playing kind of fast and loose with whether Asaph is related to him or not. Um, I don't I don't think it's necessary that he is related to him.
Yeah.
I think you know he goes to try and give the ring to the priest. He can't get it off his finger, and yeah, he ends up like walking out of town, and Asaph sees it, and he starts accosting him. You know, he's like, "I know what you have. I know what you have." You know, and maybe
Hmm.
he's like a Dan Jr. So he's like, "Son of Dan, I know what you have." And
I think
so
that's
yeah,
cool because in that gives Dan a reason to partner up with Asaph because I think the culture he would not just go out of his way to hang out with this
yeah.
leprosy dude.
Maybe with the ring he can see who's possessed, and he actually goes to like a priest, and he can see like a demon using the guy as a puppet essentially. I think that would be kind of scary, where it's like, oh, I
Mm.
can't go there. Like that's, I don't know what's going on there. And then maybe they chase him because the demons can see him. Um,
Oh, like the other priests
Yeah.
chase him.
Yeah, the
I think
guards.
that's cool that he can see the ring lets him see demons also.
Yeah.
And then as well as fight them.
Yeah. I like the idea
And
that him
then
like shining the light on someone's face and then they like, you know how with dogs you can see the back of their eyes, like it's red, that it does that kind of thing and the people's eyes, like you can see all the way through and you see like the demon in there or maybe like kind of ghostly above them in some way.
well, that's
Demons
cool.
could be a lot of fun, like goofy, weird, kind of like the hyenas from Lion King, Lions
Mhm.
King.
The Lion's King.
Anyway, yeah, because I want these demons to be practical, to be puppets, and layered in with like using CGI sparingly. I think that would just be so cool. And he's got to accidentally kill a demon that's like trying to get him. I think that would be
Yeah.
cool. And Asaph teaches him like magic words that he would use to like get the
Yeah.
ring to do different functions.
Uh-huh. So what if so he runs into Asaph. Asaph explains a little bit of the ring and he's like, I don't know about that. That seems kind of crazy. And then like he's still in pursuit of by these other priests and he's like running through the city. And I like the idea of like them trying to wrestle the ring from him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, no, no. And then he like either like grabs them by the face to push them or he like just beams them and just like, and like he can see like the demon like disintegrate. Because I like the idea of a scene where the crowd, one of those scenes where the crowd's panicking because they're like, you're attacking the priests.
Yeah.
And then everyone's getting riled up. But then like the priest that is come to is like, no, 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 he saved me.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then you have your like local hero boy vibe where it's like this kid
I brought you my granny. Does she have a demon? You know, and it's like, no, she just has like diarrhea.
He's like, she has no demon, and the guy's like, are you sure?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty mean to me.
That's cool. Yeah, they keep bringing the people to like to be healed.
Yeah, I think I just
like,
really want to lead him to. I don't want to rip off Hercules verbatim, but that story works. Of like him, he thinks this is what he thinks he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
and he starts getting like cocky and arrogant.
Yeah,
in the whole thing, and then
he gets his hand chopped off.
Yeah, and I think we're not there in the story circle. No. The next thing is like crossing the threshold. Asaph is like his advisor. I kind of want to, like, he can't actually be that close to him if he has leprosy. I didn't know if we wanted the ring to like make him stable, like not heal him, but it's like
no. I think he would tell him like the ring keeps you pure. The ring actually purifies things. And so I think that's where you offload some of that exposition type stuff. But maybe he hasn't mastered the ring well enough to be able to do it. So Asaph is like, I'm in this for you to heal me. Like, I think he is like begging him to help him.
Gotcha. But then Asaph's also kind of his semi-mentor. Like he's the book smart guy. He's kind of the fawn in Hercules that's helping him and trying to.
That's Phil's boy.
Is that what is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Phil. Yeah, Phil. I think I don't want. Well, it depends how we want to take it. I don't want Asaph to be just in it for selfish reasons, because if that's, then it kind of changes that character. Whether he's like, oh, actually, does he actually care for Dan? Because it feels like we're going to take Asaph to be the bad guy.
No. I think it's just his arc from maybe going cynical to being like, oh, I can sacrifice myself. Like, it's not about me. I was so obsessed with getting healed that I missed that it actually, like, me laying down my life probably is actually what was required. And like giving myself to the service of the Lord. And I think that's ultimately where it's headed. Again, I think the blood of Solomon runs through his veins. And so he doesn't need the ring. I'm already working on some lines right now. Some along the lines at the end of this episode. For those who don't know, it's a segment at the end where we come up with lines from the movie. But yeah.
I think, okay, I'm getting some ideas.
Okay.
Because the next parts of the wheel are search the road of trials and then find, meet the goddess. Search the road of trials, I think, is the classic. he's like fighting some low level demons in this town. Like he's just blasting them out of people.
Yeah. And then he meets one that he can't blast, I think would be the thing.
Yeah. He meets one that's a bit beefier that only prayer and fasting can remove.
Yes. A pig one. I think a pig one would be so cool.
Yeah. Well, I keep coming back to like Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but if it's like his build, but like a pig head, like just like a humanoid,
I want him
like,
to be like
muscular
fat.
pig.
I want him to be fat, like big, like nasty.
Okay, he can be fat. I'm good with that too.
He's
my name's Big the Pig.
yeah, Big the Pig. He's got a country accent for some reason. Hey y'all, I'm Big the Pig. Yeah. Anyway, but no, he's gluttony. I think he's gluttony. This is where you could tie in your student film about the 7 deadly sins. That he finally meets something that's like, oh, it's a little deep rooted.
Yeah.
You know, and so he's like, whatever, some low level prince or something is possessed by him, or maybe oppressed by gluttony, or maybe his name's just Glut.
Glut. I like Glut. I think he's like the first boss. Like we pretty quickly get him fighting little guys, and then someone's it would be really funny if they're like, my son's like super possessed, and he brings like a 4-year-old, and then he's like, well, let me check it out, and he's like, and then he's like, the demon like separates, and he's like pushes the boy. He's like, I don't need this boy. He's like, I'm here for you. And then he's like 7 feet tall, just this giant.
Love that. It was
and then he's like go ring, and it's just like it's like whoop, just like slaps him across the place, cool. And then he has to be clever and about how he does it.
And he remembers like maybe Asaph taught him a lesson, and he's like, oh, you know, whatever. I don't need that. I haven't met something that I haven't been able to beat. Yeah, and then he's able to. I'm trying to think about how he would do it, which would be different. I guess another magic word would have to be what it is, or maybe some other type of spell, some other function of the ring. Like he traps him in something. So instead of just totally disintegrating him, the lower ones can kind of be disintegrated by light, but Glut needs to actually be trapped. I think that's kind of cool.
You know what's cool? I don't know if we want to go this route, but like if he's been blasting all the little demons away. He like shoots them, like it propels outwards. And this is like Glut is the first one that he like does something to like suck him into the ring. And maybe it damages him. Like maybe it like his arms all veiny afterwards.
Yeah, being veiny, that's a bad thing.
It was a lot to
He's so vascular
like
now.
Black.
He's so vascular. Okay, okay. Black veins. Black veins are bad.
Yeah, black veins. He absorbs the power. He has the pig powers now.
Yeah. I can't stop being hungry. I don't know what his power would be. I could eat anything. But no,
how many
you say how many henchmen? How many until you get to Asmodeus?
Because I almost feel like we just have Glut, and then Asmodeus, like we kind of start getting the first inklings of him, and he's like, oh, I didn't think this guy would just be able to take on Glut. That's pretty impressive. And then I think the ranking is Glut is kind of lowest boss.
Oh yeah.
The girl is like middle boss, whoever serves Asmodeus directly, yes. And then Asmodeus is final boss.
Yes. It reminds me of the girl from the D&D movie.
Yes. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking. Like the shaved head girl who like casts spells and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I imagine that she can do that because she's so one with, Asmodeus has given her certain powers. But yeah, there are other like demon lore things from this type of stuff about like not being able to cross rivers and stuff like that we could maybe incorporate. But also being able to control demons and make them do things for you. So maybe you could bring in somebody to help him unwillingly. Please, Lord, please don't do nothing to me. I don't know why he's got a Cockney accent.
So wait, are you saying Dan can control a demon?
Yeah.
I like him being able to control a demon that's not very helpful.
That's my point. Yeah, like he's just a low level guy, but he like gives him information. He's like, you're going to be my spy. Please, Lord, don't send me to the abyss. All right, I won't.
And then he whispers to Asaph, he's like, "Can I send people to the abyss?" Like he doesn't know.
That's what you've been doing when you disintegrate them, sir. I don't know why he's like at a royal advisor, Asaph. Sir, Master Wayne. It's very much
Master Wayne. Remember when you blasted that guy to smithereens?
yeah, exactly.
That was sending him to the base. That's the prestige.
yeah, the prestige. Some men watch the world burn. That's some of these demons. So maybe he just gets like a fire demon to help him. That'd be kind of cool. Like it feels a little like an anime. Like it should be.
Yeah, I think whatever the demon, I like the fire demon because it's like little and like powerful, but I want it to be little. Like it's like Aladdin's monkey, that it gets him out of some Abu. Yeah, like where it's like not like, I don't know. It can be big if you want. Like
maybe it is a monkey. Maybe it literally is like, and they can be all voiced by different people, which would be fun.
It's like a little fire monkey.
An imp.
That's cool.
It's like, no, sir, I'm just a lowly imp. I don't mean to serve the Dark Lord. I don't know. And then he just.
I want to be a farmer.
Yeah.
I want to be a farmer, sir.
Look at me. Look, he picks up like a shovel. I know how to be a farmer. It's like he doesn't know the first thing. It's like digging the wrong way.
I love them all these characters having accents that don't make any sense in this world. Yeah.
It's me. Well, now I can't get out of the cogni. Anyway, the country, big country glut.
Just a southern pig.
Yeah. My name's Glut. Yeah. And so he obliterates, or he traps Glut into something.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they start to do, is that he's getting graduated power, right? So he captures these people, but then there's maybe one that he can't bring under his control, or he can't control. I'm trying to think about the subplot is, the subplot is that you have to show Asmodeus and his high priestess taking over high power men in the city.
Yes.
And so
like there's like the government is kind of basically controlled by them.
Yeah.
I think there could be a plot point where Dan's ring, like, again, I like the thing that he doesn't fully understand his powers. He's learning about them. Maybe the ring, he's gaining power. He starts absorbing all the demons, but the ring's not meant to like store the demons. It's meant to like trap them in things, and he doesn't know that yet. So like, he's like kind of semi becoming corrupt. He's like becoming like more angry.
Yeah, it's like symbiote Spider-Man.
Yeah, symbiote. Yeah, and he starts
dancing. Yeah. He starts dancing. Tobey Maguire would be perfect for this.
No, he actually probably would be. That'd be cool.
Yeah, he's like got a little bit of that washed up kind of thing going. I think if you fed him a little bit and washed his hair, he could probably pull it off. Like a bumbling, like, I still live at home and I don't have a wife, even though I'm 40. Like Dan could be that kind of character. Otherwise, you have to go like really young.
Yeah. Do you like that? Do you like him kind of getting symbiote a little bit? And then Asaph's like, "You don't seem too well, man." And he's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then you have whoever the girl priestess is, like approaching him, trying to tempt him.
What is their goal? What is Asmodeus? To just take people over and kill them?
I think he wants maybe he wants to kill them. I think he wants control of the city. He wants.
Is there an object that he wants? Dominion. I mean, the ring obviously is important.
I think once he realizes what's going on with the ring, and that like he wants to rid them of the ring.
Yeah, set all the demons free.
Because it's like, hey, yeah, like he's like, this is really messing up my my whole deal here.
Yeah.
I am either picturing him as Genie Jafar, like big, imposing,
yeah,
or he's just like a dude, and he's just like a dude, like very like well dressed dude.
I think whenever he manifests himself, you mean like when you actually see him?
Yeah, like he's not a human, but he looks just like a guy.
I would go for that. I would go for like he's an attractive guy even.
Wasn't there a movie, The Gunslinger, with Matthew McConaughey, where he was like this dark entity?
Oh, that's the Dark Tower, based on the Stephen King book. But yeah, I mean that would be cool. We all right. I am Osmodius. You know? I don't know. I mean, that's as good a McConaughey as you're going to get out of me, but
it's not bad. Not bad.
That's our Osmodius.
So where we are, I think we'll do a recap towards the end, but we're here. He's starting to get a little corrupted. He's getting kind of stronger, but he's less and less stable.
What do you mean he didn't empty the ring? Empty the ring? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, you're just holding them all in there? Yeah.
You're supposed to put them in things and banish them, like Jesus and the pigs.
Yeah, exactly.
He stuck them in the pigs, and the pigs killed themselves.
He's like starts shooting them into pigs.
The pigs are committing suicide. Yeah. But I think while he's still semi cocky and powerful, I think we need to name our priestess girl.
Okay. I might have
she's the other.
Let's see.
Or we can just call her the priestess if you want, but she seems like,
I feel like at this point we've gotten, she's probably just the priestess. I mean, to give her another name, let's see. I mean, her name could be Esther. Doesn't matter. Like,
okay, Esther.
That's such a soft, nice name too. So it's like, but maybe that's the whole thing. Is that maybe they knew
she
each
comes
other.
And she tries to like kind of seduce him and charm him.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But he can't be seduced while wearing the ring, maybe. Or maybe he can. It's a little like Samson at that point, which I like.
I think like not supernaturally. Like I don't think like she can like thrall him, but like she's just kind of batting her eyes and flirting, and she's like, "Wow, you're really impressive." And he's like, "Yeah, I am pretty impressive." Like just like a natural cocky
plays into the pride, yeah, and pride should be his thing for sure.
Yeah, I think she traps him, and I think she cuts his hand off.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm taking this hand with me. And then she leaves. And then we have that.
Yeah, she's like, can I have your hand in marriage? She asks him.
Oh, that's a fun line. He's like, my hand. And then she cuts it off.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just like, it's like she has it completely immobilized, and his hand is like up. And she just takes out a sword and it's like real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess all the demons are still trapped in the ring, right?
Well, she lets them all out.
Yeah, and they all start running around.
I think Asaph has to come and save him at that point. There's some other, and maybe we can reveal that Asaph is actually some priest at that point, like what his background is. And maybe Asaph's issue is that he's mad at God for giving him leprosy. But do you know what I mean? Like his arc, I'm trying to find the end of it.
He's slightly bitter throughout the beginning half. I think she cuts the hand off. She releases them, and she takes the hand with her, and she leaves. She's like, have fun, guys, because all these demons are like, I'm gonna possess the heck out of this guy.
Yeah,
because he trapped me in a ring, and then like he's getting legioned. Bunch of demons flying in him, and then that's where Asaph comes. Maybe he has one trick up his sleeve to like cast out these demons and save Dan, but maybe in doing so, Asaph like kind of uses up his last of his life or something. I think that might be the moment where he sacrifices himself. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I agree. I think if even Asaph actually is the one who lets the demons kill him.
I was also thinking that,
either way, because I don't know if they'd want to possess him. The mind of a demon, I think, obviously it wants you to be totally destroyed. So it doesn't just want you to be killed. That's too easy. It wants you to reject everything human about you, thereby, taking up all of the 7 deadly sins, embodying them perfectly. That level of total destruction, because that's the ultimate FU to God in their mind. At least this is to the best of my knowledge of how these types of things work as a amateur demonologist.
I think there needs to be some moment where we can clean this up a little bit, because I think Asaph needs, if he can, a quick last word to be like, the blood of Solomon runs through you, and that's what
Yeah.
made you who you are, not the ring.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if like right after he says that, then Glut like jumps down his throat and and then the guy explodes.
Yeah.
explodes.
I actually think we need to go up the power hierarchy. It's not the relic, like that kind of hero thing of, oh, Solomon. It's actually Yahweh. That Yahweh gave the ring power, and Yahweh knows what he's doing. And I think that, him being like he's got no fingers, he's like missing an arm because he's got this leprosy, his face is all deformed and everything. That coming from that type of person could be really powerful. And he just tells him that it's like, that's what got me through. That's what he's like, don't realize it at the end like I did.
That's good. That's good. And then Asaph dies, and Dan's one-handed, and he's going after, I guess, Esther and Asmodeus. And I think we've kind of built up to this big ending where we have two pretty big bads that we need to like establish, and he's got one hand. I picture like it's something like Kingsman, where he shows up and after a battle makes short work of Esther somehow. And then Asmodeus, he seems powerful too, though. So I don't know.
That's what. Yeah. Like,
do you have any ideas of how
I think he's using the girl
guys?
to be there somehow? Like he's anchored himself to her. So if he can kill her, then maybe it gets released. I think the cheapest version that we can kind of back away from is that like Dan is able to, and maybe it's not that cheap, is able to redeem her in some way, and so she realizes it and she helps him. And at the end, like she puts the ring on or something,
I think we would have to like establish like doubt in her, and she's like feels like the embodiment. Like I'm not against it, but I think we'd have to sprinkle that throughout the whole movie, that she has like some second thoughts on things,
or that she's being controlled in some way by Asmodeus. That she would have, you know what I mean? Like that he would have to like exercise a lot of power to keep her that way, to demoralize her, where it's like, you are nothing. You're nothing but an object to these men. And so it's like, you might as well fulfill your purpose as an object, And so I don't know, like, and then Dan can make some sort of appeal to her actual humanity. Again, she's at the total almost end of the use of the demon. She's been completely voided out. Yeah. I really do want to see Dan kick butt.
Yeah, like, but that's what I was thinking that he would do with Esther.
I think he could save her at the end. That's certainly something that it would allow some sort of epilogue, because there's nobody else, like in terms of people that he could talk to. There would just be other townspeople that you'd have to bring in and out. But the whole town is taken over by Asmodeus. So, they actually, I like that the whole town is what kills Asaph. Like they're totally possessed. And so it's like the Mummy, where Imhotep. Actually, the Mummy is a kind of a perfect like map for this type of thing. Imhotep has taken over the kind of weak-minded people. And these are all the men that have slept with the priestess, and maybe the priestesses. It doesn't have to just be her. The town prostitute, she's or what is it, like the town bicycle, everybody's had a ride. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hit, like, that seems pretty hardcore. Soften it up a little bit, maybe. But the fact that he could just like kill off all the men in this town, I don't know. There is like his main plot. What our main goal? What is Asmodeus's goal? That's what's missing, because then we can kind of put these pieces in place. Do we have the Roman Empire? If he's maybe he's trying to release all these demons, like more than just the ones that are stuck in the ring. Like he needs the ring to do something else. Do you know what I mean? Like he's trying to, maybe underneath the town is actually like a catacomb that's been there, and it's got a big seal on it, the big seal of Solomon. that he's trying to break.
Oh, I like that.
And
okay. And the ring would unlock that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And so he's been looking for the ring. Asmodeus could have been walking around, possessing people. He's just this kind of lieutenant demon who was enlisting the help of people to help him, find this ring. It's a little like holes, where they're like, I'm going to make everybody dig some holes and they're going to find this thing for me. And so the Lord actually brings providentially Dan to the ring. I think that as well, like ironing out how he actually finds the ring. I guess we've said it's in a well. That's cool. So maybe we kind of deal with that where the demons.
The demons don't look down there.
They don't like water. I don't know. I mean,
so I think that's so she brings back the hand that he's going to use to open the thing. I think Dan kind of talks with Esther about, like, I guess he like goes and confronts them. Like he comes out of the blue and the two of them are going to do whatever they're going to do, open this door.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I can't let you do that. And he's like, he's bleeding out. And then
he would have cauterized it. He would have, touched a torch. Oh
yeah.
I think that's cool.
And then I feel like I'm just getting, this part's tricky like, what does his fighting look like? Is it because he's clever? Does he shoot beams? Like, what do we do? What does he do at this? No, what does Dan do at this point?
I don't know. I actually might have more notes to just see here at the end.
Because I think like she could be attacking him, and then he's just like, he's saying all the opposite things. He's like, you don't have to do this.
I got some good little bits here.
Okay, all right.
That might help us. So one is that the hero, Dan, realizes his ring doesn't work on human evil. It only works on demons. And so that's what Asmodeus has been trying to do, is like get people to follow him without possessing them. Just in their own selfish interests, corrupting them, their flesh. And so that's why he can blast the demons out of people, even though they might still be sinful people after the fact.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything it doesn't address that issue. And so, I saw that note and was like, oh, that's a good explaining thing.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure there's people that he just coaxes and coerces without any type of magical spell that just want power.
Maybe Asmodeus wants to be a human. So he wants human form. And because that's Imhotep, right? From the Mummy, is like, I want to be reconstituted. I want a body. That's kind of cool because it's a little of the age of Noah when the sons of God lay with the sons of man. It's like, that's when we had bodies and they were taken from us. And so now he wants to, like, he has a body somewhere. That's like in a
maybe
catacomb.
it's locked in the it's locked in the catacombs. I think that's interesting if he's fully intangible, like he's got his powers but he can't physically interact, and that's what Esther does fully for him. Because that means that she's holding the hand with the ring, or I don't know if at this point they could get the ring.
They would get it off. They get it off. Yeah, his hand is gone. We cut to his hand just being eaten by like bugs. It's just like, where did you put my hand? But yeah, I think him wanting a body is cool because that plays in with the lust thing where it's like being embodied, and the idea that human evil can't be touched by this. And so the trick is at the end, he lets him get a body so he can kill him.
Interesting. Yeah, that's the bad guy getting what they want.
Yeah.
So that
it's the Jafar, a genie, an all powerful genie. And then he gets like ka-ching, ka-ching. Yeah, he's like, he convinces him, flesh is the most powerful. I guess he doesn't have to convince him that's his goal, but the power of flesh, the power of weakness. He wouldn't think that was powerful though. But I like the idea that Asaph is missing his right hand because of the leprosy, and Dan at the end is missing his right hand. That there's like some symbology there where not only is it his like functional hand, you know, we're mostly right-handed race of species, you know, but unless you're my wife, who's got left hand, weirdo. But yeah, this idea that he has to mimic him, he has like the suffering applied to him as well, and that's actually what makes him stronger at the end.
Yeah, it's like some plea at the end where he's, I don't know, banishing, or he gets the ring. He doesn't need the ring, supposedly.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just me playing. I mean, he could maybe need the ring. I think him getting the ring back would be awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe using how does he kill him as a human?
He's you go the route of something similar to Ghost Rider with Nick Cage, where it's
okay. We're all over the map with the references tonight.
Yeah, I know, but there's the thing where it's like he can he like burns people's souls, the sinner souls, and then it's been a hot minute since I've seen this movie, but then I think the main bad is like a demon with no soul, and he's like, you can't do that to me, but then he like absorbs all these souls, and he's like, well, now I can do it to you 100 times over, and like basically like incinerates him. I think something like that. I think there's this thing Esther like is kind of being, it's like, you don't have to do this. She's like fighting him, and he's like, open the door, Esther, I'm ready. And then she's like, but then she's kind of feeling a little conflicted, and is like, this guy's saying like being really encouraging to me as I beat him. Yeah. And then she like opens the door, but then like realizes maybe this guy is like, do you really believe all these things? I don't know. I do have this line that I think it's more from Osmodeus. Where it's like Osmodeus is about to die, like maybe he's got the ring back and he's like holding his head, he's like, oh, and it's like cracking his head open, and he's like, you don't understand, I could give you your hand back, I could give you power. And he's like, I have enough. Like that's kind of the conclusion. Like I am enough.
This is powerful.
Like even with one. Yeah. This is
power.
Yeah. I don't want it to like be like, oh, I've got superpowers. But like the idea that he's like, oh, like if it's tying back to Yahweh, it's like I've been given all I need. For satisfaction. Maybe Esther changes her mind and she gives him the ring as Asmodeus is getting the body, and then he's like, you disobeyed me, and like throws her to the ground. She's knocked out, and then you have your final duel with Dan and Asmodeus. And I think he uses the ring. Like I think he's still mostly demon, even though he's got a human form. He's like, you just got in there, I'm gonna kick you right back out.
Well, he can like permanently damn him now that he's in a body or something to that effect. I like the idea that his body's actually a giant. That's kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like been buried under the city, you know, in this big chamber or whatever. And it comes out, and it can be skeletal. It can be mummified. And he has to like eat people to, you know.
We also lost track of our little fire demon.
Oh yeah. He could come back into play. That's true.
He could help him. Is this imp like genuinely like converted to the point that if he doesn't have the ring, will it still help him?
I don't think so. I just don't think that rule works unless he somehow literally redeems it in some way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. But that he's like, oh, like I don't want it. I don't want to go back.
I was just saying that could be a plot point, but I also agree. I think that's a little bit of a stretch to be like,
yeah, demons are, that's the nature of being a demon is you have sealed your deal, dude. You serve the evil one at that point, and there's just no going back. And so the fact that he could get them he could use evil beings for good is cool, but without the ring, he can't do it.
I do like the idea of earlier on where they're aware of Asmodeus. At some point, they have to become aware of Asmodeus. Where his little imp is, how did he sound? What voice? He was like Cockney. He's like,
"Oh Lord,
sir,
please
oh
don't,
sir."
please don't kill me, Lord." Was it that, right?
It was something like that, where he's like, I know that I sealed my deal.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, if you lose that ring, I'm coming for you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't want to work for Asmodeus.
Yeah.
No one does. It's like, so if you're against him, I will help you with that. Like, I like that idea that,
Yeah.
like, he's like, that guy.
My name is Beelzebub. Most people call me Bub.
They call me Bub or Bubby.
Yeah. It's just like he grows up to be an archdemon, you know. No, I was looking at my notes again. And like I said, there's some pretty good stuff in here. I actually had some plot or some goal for Asmodeus. He wants to bring forth the Nephilim, a combination of demon and flesh. So that cannot be controlled by the ring. Or he wants to set free the other 7 deadly sins, which feels a little like Shazam. Yeah. Anyway.
I think, yeah, I like the idea of, like, I think it's all can be kind of tied together, him getting his body and getting power to do more, these bigger, grander things.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of him using the ring somehow to banish him, like, fully, but in doing so, the ring, like, is destroyed.
Yeah. Agreed.
So he's just a dude with one hand.
So
and
this is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but something that he did as a shepherd could come back into play. So maybe he had a sling that he used. And
just tying all the biblical references.
I am. Yeah, exactly. Again, we're biblical adjacent in this episode. And I like the idea that he uses the ring as a thing, and he throws it through the head of Asmodeus's new body.
Oh, I think that's pretty cool. That actually is similar to there was a podcast I was listening to where they were like fighting like it was like a narrative thing, but they were fighting undead stuff, and they launched like a cross into the chest of this thing, and it's like, oh, and then they're like, I'm also gonna hit it with a stick, so it like goes into like, and it like goes into the thing. Like, I like that, like forcing this semi-holy, the holy item, like pushing it through them entirely.
Yes. Yeah, it's both a physical attack and a spiritual attack.
Yeah.
And so it's mixing both those things, because I think him not being able to wear the ring again would probably be the reason why he couldn't do that. I thought about actually him getting both hands chopped off would be even better, because they say like it has to be on a ring finger. It has to be on a hand. And so just to make sure, she's like torturing him or whatever, and maybe Asaph helps him get away, like as they're doing that. You got to just wonder, why don't they just kill him? I guess because it's more humiliating, and they were going to wait for the demons to take him over. Okay, I'm thinking out loud here, people. The whole podcast is thinking out loud.
I think if he loses both hands, I think that's going to be hard for him to use any sling or do much or anything.
I think he could still do it. I think he could still do it.
I also think, I don't think they're worried. I don't think they think he's a threat. They're like, this guy's cocky. He's dumb. I cut his hand off. I took the ring, and I'm walking out as a bunch of demons are about to kill him. Like classic bad guy move, where you're like,
I don't ensure I don't seal the deal.
There's like a ton of, for demons that are sealing the deal, they did not seal the deal.
Yeah, sloppy.
It does happen in a lot of movies where they just,
I know, I don't like the trope.
Like,
I think it's just interrupted by Asaph is the thing. It's like they are literally going to do it, but Asaph is able to.
Yeah. I kind of picture like them like flying into like it's happening, and then Asaph does something to intervene, and then Esther's gone at that point.
Yeah. The thing that I have for Asaph magic wise, that's been in the back of my mind for a long time has been, so the language that Adam and Eve spoke. There's a lot of theories about it was like pure
Dutch.
It wasn't fallen. It was Dutch. Hoinky doinky doinky. I don't know what Dutch sounds like. But the idea is that it could control matter and reality itself. It had like a god, like, the god of the word. And so he gave himself to them in that way, and being able to speak and command things before Babel broke language and people now don't understand each other. But Asaph was part of a priesthood that thought that they had found some words, or a word. And so that's what he uses at the end, is he says a word to the demons. Like he walks in and says it, and it like freezes them.
I think that's cool. I think that's cool. And then hear me out here, because if the demons don't kill him, I think him using this word, it's like a holy language
Mhm.
that him using the word like blasts the demons away, but he's also not pure, so it kind of
Oh, sure, it takes its damage. Yeah, yeah.
that does it. Like he uses the word, and it also that's what
He could
kills
say
him
that to him.
too.
He's like, we learned the word, but we know, every time anybody would use it, it would hurt them.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
I think that's cool. I think that's that cool kind of
Costly.
fatal fuel level
Yeah.
of anime where you do something to do something really powerful, and then it costs you a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, all those things, they have to come with a
and then
cost.
that also gives Asaph like a good moment. That gives Asaph a good moment to have last words and be like,
Yeah.
it's not about the ring.
Yeah.
But it's not about the ring, but make sure you get that ring back. You're gonna need it.
It's really not about the ring. But if you were able to get the ring, I'm just saying it could maybe change things.
I want that in a movie because it's always that like just believe in yourself, but it's like like it's about you. But hey man, if you do like if it's sitting on a table, you should grab it. Like it's gonna help.
Yeah.
You don't need it, but dude, you don't need a glove to catch a baseball, but it helps, a lot.
I mean, I'm not saying he's like unkillable, but like I don't know how you're gonna do it without it.
Just like anyway,
yeah. No, I think that the more devastating thing would be that he couldn't say another word after that.
Oh, you just keep on voiding my last words with Asaph moments.
Yeah, I mean, I think the actor's performance and just like him choosing to go in there and save him tells you everything that you need to know. It's like that he's made his peace with his God, and yeah, I think that's cool. And he's just like sitting there and he can't speak anymore.
Okay, I that's fine with me.
It's like a double cost thing. Oof.
So you don't think so he's still alive? He's still like roaming around after that?
Asaph, no, he dies.
Oh, he dies.
I'm just
Wait,
saying,
who
like,
loses their speech? Oh, Asaph does.
Yeah, he's just like
he does
because there's something really interesting about. Okay, he says this word, one of the first words of the first being man ever created, and it's like a magical language. And his impure form, not just his leprosy, but his fallen nature, rejects it, and it like clashes inside of him and ends up killing him. But why? Like, what would be the next words that you would say after a literally pure word?
That's true.
It's like he wouldn't, like his tongue would be fried. Like that's kind of the, the cost of it. So anyway,
I think that makes sense. What are your thoughts on Dan dying at the end?
I'm okay with that. I don't like him
because I was just thinking he does the thing, he does the sling. I don't know if he's catching some leprosy from Asaph because he doesn't have the ring anymore when he's like, you're dying.
I think it takes a lot longer to catch leprosy than that. It's like a consistent.
But anyway, I do like the thing where the guy gets his body. He's like, I have all this power. And he slings this ring like either like down his throat or like in through his head. And it kills him. And I like the idea. Like he could still be around, but he's pretty beat up and lost blood and lost hands and probably got beat up by Esther and Asmodeus. And I like the idea of him like in a way redeeming Esther. Like she comes to, and then like she's the one who walks away.
Agreed. Redeemed. Yeah, I think that's cool. He could even literally jump into the mouth of the giant, and like takes the ring with him. But I like the sling thing. I think maybe it's too on the nose in terms of David and Goliath. I don't know.
I think you'd have to establish the sling earlier on.
Yeah. I mean, it's just he's part of a shepherd thing. And he's like, and he even tells Asaph, it's like, or maybe his parents beforehand, he's like, the only thing I like doing is playing with the sling. He doesn't even like taking care of the sheep.
But he's pretty good with it. Like he'll hit marks from far away, like early on when his family's still around.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. And then, he brings the ring and maybe he gives it to Esther. And I think we just leave it there, or I guess no one. I guess the thrall is broken on the town.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, does he need to be like a bridge that like helps Esther get back into society? Like, is everyone going to be like, you're
That's
that
true.
witch lady?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You slept with everybody and enslaved us. Thanks. Yeah, because basically, I think their whole thing is Asmodeus was going to eat them
mm,
and reconstitute himself by eating the lower flesh, kind of thing, with his Nephilim body. Um, that's kind of cool. Whatever. Um,
yeah.
maybe he can even start doing that with some people, and so we see it's like he's only getting stronger. It's a little like Hercules to kind of go back to that with the Cyclops, which I think is my favorite battle in that whole movie.
Mhm.
Puny Hercules, he like
Yeah.
flicks him.
He's so big.
I know, and that's the glut thing.
Megalophy.
I liked the megalophilia with the kaiju, the kaiju. No, with the glut, the pig one. Like that's the
Yeah.
type of fat that I wanted. Where it's like evil jolly, whatever that is.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Anyway, I do think that the Titans from Hercules did get me into kaiju.
Oh,
They certainly
yeah.
didn't
They were
help.
like, they're crazy big.
You remind me of
in
the
that.
ice guy.
Me?
Yeah, you're
Oh, yeah,
definitely
like
the
the
ice
skinny
guy.
ice guy.
And he's like his legs snap off every time. Fellas,
That's a cool.
Olympus is that way. Hades.
Yeah, is that James Wood or is
yeah.
that Billy Crystal? Okay, James Wood.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that performance.
same.
That movie's fun. And I think this movie's cool too. I like it. I think it ends with him giving
I think he's got to still be alive, and maybe him back out in the field with sheep is a really nice ending.
hey, what if it's like we cut to I don't know if this is too weird, but like we cut to like a few years later, he has sheep and maybe Esther's his wife.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I think
something.
that's classic. I don't really have a problem with that.
It's like it seems on the nose, but it also is like they share an experience that no one else really shares.
Yes.
So it makes sense that they would end up together.
Yes.
And maybe they have a little kid or two or something.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a sweet, and yeah, he's like a one-handed shepherd. He can like, he only has the one hand. He's back doing his thing. He's back. And that's literally the story circle. He's back where he started, but with a new understanding of who he is.
He went and did the big, great thing, and he realized, I don't need that. He's grateful. He basically, it's a story about gratitude. For sure. And he's like watching over the sheep too. There's some parallel there about like the townspeople being eaten at the end. It's like these were the people that he was tasked to help. And they're being gobbled up by this big thing.
Yeah, it's not as much a chore for him to watch these sheep anymore. It's a duty.
Yeah, and again, it's like perfect blend of purpose and identity. He's like, this is who I am. And he's, you see that like maybe a wooden clubby kind of hand like pet a sheep, and you pull back and you realize that that's like the prosthetic hand that he carved.
I was gonna say he reaches down. The last shot of the thing is he reaches down to pet the sheep, and it's a robot hand.
Yeah. I really do want this. Like, this could feel like it could be a Men in Black / Ghostbusters type world. With the different types of demons that you deal with and stuff. And I think maybe the fire, Bub comes back in and makes an appearance, like just real briefly there at the end. Even if it's just to cue the credits or whatever, where it's like the shepherd is guarding his sheep and he like turns and looks and he sees Bub and Bub like runs away,
Yeah, I think I like Bub. And I know that it's like, I don't want to take too much liberties with the demons because it's like, that's who they are.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you made this more cartoony, like Hercules-esque, I like the idea of Bub. He's like, I'm still a bad guy.
Yeah.
But like, there's like this understanding. He's like, but I'm not like Asmodeus bad. Like, I'm going to make some guy lie every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do the little stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I don't really want to like paint him in a good light because he's
same. Yeah. That's why I think like him at the end,
guy.
it's
Dan
just
runs off.
being a strong hero, and he's struck fear into the shepherd has struck fear and he's keeping them out. And I think that's cool. It's a good, strong image to end on. So I don't know, title wise, I had titles already. if you want to hear them, and maybe you can kind
Oh,
of just.
I'm pretty sure it just needs to be Dan the Man.
Oh, you're right.
Hold on, let me just read real quick. I also made a little field in my tracker here called character names, which came
Oh,
in very
perfect.
handy this one
Oh,
because
perfect.
we were talking before we recorded that there's old episodes that we can't remember the names that we gave people.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start trying to track names as we go. Um, no, give me some of your titles. This is your story. I want to hear some of
So
them.
the Seal of Solomon being one, because that's what's on the ring, that's what's on the tomb,
Hmm.
um, and that's effectively where some of that power comes from. Uh, the other one is the Eternal Infernal,
The
just like
Eternal
yeah,
Infernal.
just these bad guys that live forever. They're just the demons. It's essentially what it is. So those are just the
Hmm.
two. I think I could tell you even when I did this note. This was
What about Demon Killer Dan?
yeah, I mean, Demon Slayer, I think is an anime. This I came up with this. So last time I edited this note was May 18th, 2018.
Oh
So
wow.
that should tell you. You and I had just met, um, and I was messing with
Yeah,
this idea.
sometime around there.
But anyway, yeah,
Uh,
I honestly think the Seal of Solomon is probably just the classic-y direction to go with it. But I'm open to hear a Tommy suggestion.
no, I like that. I was less convinced on the other one, but the Seal of Solomon, like it ties in with the ring. That's
Yeah,
what he thinks he gets his power from. That comes to the final boss is there's a different seal that he's trying to break. Um, I think that makes a lot of sense. The Seal of Solomon. It's kind of an interesting, like it's like you said, it's Bible adjacent. Like
yeah,
clearly we're taking liberties with some like
totally.
the the Bible, and that's like it's also very interesting when you tell a story that's close enough to that it's like it's not a Christian movie we're telling
No, yeah,
clearly,
yeah.
but it makes you wonder. It's like okay, well, I also don't want to take too many liberties with things.
No,
It's very interesting.
yeah, again, that's what we were talking about with like the demons. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, and then they're just misunderstood somehow.
Yeah,
Um, I don't want to say
yeah,
that, and yeah, I don't want to say anything theologically incorrect.
hmm,
It all could occupy a perfectly fine space.
yeah,
That's why I think at the end, or what we were saying when Asaph did have ending lines was like, the power is not in the ring, the power is not in Solomon, the power is always with Yahweh.
hmm,
Um, And I think that's kind of a powerful, no pun intended, line.
hmm,
And that's unlike other stories that they do put a lot of like the Force and Star Wars and that kind of stuff. Like you said, it's this it's self-esteem type thing that it's the power is really in me, and I'm not cool with that. Um,
Y-
Not
yeah.
that
I
being
also
self-confident isn't a good thing. It is a good thing to be confident, but
yeah.
um, like power in general does not come from yourself.
Yeah, I also just don't love that in movies where it's uh that just happens a lot. And it
Yeah.
happened in the second Doctor Strange movie. Spoilers, so if you don't want to hear this, I'll give you just a second to fast
The movie's been
forward.
out for
Like
like
if
6
you
years.
has it really?
I don't
It's
know.
not been
I don't know.
out.
I don't know. Probably.
But it feels like there's a moment in that where it's like someone's like, I can't do that. I can't. I've never done it before. I don't know
Yeah.
how. And then they're like, I believe in you. And then they can just next try perfect. And I'm like, that I just don't think that's how
That's not how it works.
like you literally don't know how to do
No,
it.
okay, so this is getting a little uh personal, but like my youngest brother has that with like video games. And it's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I tell him, you can do it. That doesn't help him at all. It actually kind of hurts him, because he doesn't have the self esteem to be able to do it. The power is not in him.
Mhm.
Anyway, we can get onto all sorts of
Well,
philosophical.
well, it's well, yeah, it's like something like that. Like you could do it. Like that's not a false statement, but like you could do it with practice. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like the full statement with that. A lot of people,
Submitting to a force outside of yourself, like submitting to the laws of reality that this game cannot be played any other way. You cannot beat this game without, whatever mechanic, that you're submitting yourself to something bigger, a reality
Mhm.
bigger than yourself. And so that is what discipline is. That is what you're saying, like practice is, okay, fundamentally understanding I'm Michael Jordan and I'm practicing this one shot 10,000 times, that I know how this ball in reality is going into, I'm learning the underpinning, like mathematical, unchangeable laws of the universe, that this ball is going to always bounce like this. And I'm going to shoot it and I'm going to hit that exact corner of the backboard. You know what I mean? Like there's that,
it's
big of a theological and philosophical thing behind that type of statement where it's like discipline.
Yeah, I get that. That's where I'm saying a lot of movies will just, it would be different if it's like, you can do this. And then they went away for 5 years and came back and did it.
Yes.
That's never it. It's like in the moment, they just,
there's something weird internally that they're appealing to, some sort of internal magic system that it is bad writing, for one, to just be like, okay, I just unlocked it. All I needed to hear was that somebody else told me that I could do it. Just ultimately really fragile too. Like that could just easily be taken from you. One person says you can't do it.
The bad guy pops up. He's like, you can't do it. And it's like, and so like turns back off and they're like, no, you can.
Exactly. I mean, it really makes no sense. And it's just a cheap cop out. Some stories, like something close to that, you can kind of ignore it and fudge it a little bit, but you're right. It is a very popular trope that,
I think it's so popular people don't really think about it that much anymore.
Agreed.
But like when you analyze it, it's like they shouldn't be able to just do it because they just
it's unearned.
Thought harder. Yeah.
It's unearned,
but
you didn't earn it. And that's everything about storytelling, is that success and triumph comes at a cost. And that cost is either your time and your discipline and submitting to the larger reality around you, or you literally like lose your hand.
Yeah. To tie it back to our story, it's earning things in story, like being able to bury things, him being really good with his sling at the beginning. You earn the final boss blow because you've planted that throughout the story.
Yes.
And when it's like, what are you going to, and he has the ring and he's like, does a sling, and you've already established, you've laid the groundwork. So the moment he pulls out his sling, you know exactly what is about to happen.
And you believe it.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally unbelievable that it's like somebody did something perfect the first time. Setups and payoffs, man.
Yep. Well, all that being said, we've had quite a bit of tangents in this episode. Do you have an along the lines to seal this episode?
Oh man. Oh, good line. Let me see. I did write down a couple as we were talking. Power attracts power was one. So just talking about the ring, like once you're using it more, that's a little Lord of the Rings, like it's attracting these demons and stuff. But if Asmodeus is looking for it, then he's going to be able to sense it being used, I'm assuming. I liked what we were playing with there at the end. I think the moment to focus on would be between Dan and Esther. Then when he finally converts her, what does that look like? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think it's we got to clean this up, because I think it's something like, she's like, I've done so much wrong. I don't know, like it's something along the lines of like her being on the ground, like crying, and she's like, oh, I've done so much wrong, like I'm not deserving of this. And then like him reaching down with his one hand and he's like, welcome to the club, or something like that. Like just like saying is like, you're not alone. Like you're not like beyond reach or something like that. Yeah. Again, we need some Zach Lovelace polish.
All right, here we go. So I think the moment is with where the line would come from best is probably with Esther's conversion. And we'll have to set this up. This is a total payoff moment. And the line is not going to sound super impactful without it being set up this much. But we have to show that Asmodeus has had to like really willpower her into some certain things. And then you have to show that she feels bad about it. Even though she's being controlled. And at the end, Asmodeus is trying to get her to do something and she just stops. Like she's got just enough willpower to try and be like, I don't know if I want to open this seal at the end. Or maybe there's like a child that runs in and Asmodeus just like commands that she kills the child. Something really, really hard. And she stops and he ends up backhanding her, or, he's not, or maybe he's in his giant form. I'm not too sure the exact state of it, but she ends up being blasted to the ground next to Dan, who's also been blasted. He's just crawling, trying to stop Asmodeus from cracking the seal. And Dan looks over at her, and she's just been broken of her love for her master, but she has nowhere else to go. So she just keeps saying to herself, I'm lost, I'm lost, I'm lost, I'm lost. And yeah, maybe she's even been blinded. Not too sure. And Dan comes up and puts his hand on her, and that's the response. It's really that core. He's rising up to his identity as shepherd, and he's helping her. It could be even wordless. It could be wordless, that whole exchange, just completely done by the actors. But if you want a line, if you're forcing me to give you a line, it would be something to that effect.
Yeah, he's the shepherd that found his sheep.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes sense that they end up together at the end. That I like that we kind of quasi set it up where she tells him, like, can I have your hand in marriage? And then whops it off.
As a joke.
As a joke, but then it comes up, because that makes it, we kind of earned it there at the end. Mm-hmm. That it might even be like an obvious ending, but they really went through some stuff. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
I like it, man. Thank you all for listening to StoryFellas, a part of the Pemmican Studios podcast network. Check out our show notes for bonus material, links, and more. To find out more about our current projects, send us messages, and suggest ideas for the show, go to storyfellaspodcast.com. If you liked what you heard, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community. Until next time, go make and break those stories.